Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Lord Ahmed, distinguished scholars, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm not a member of the book. Whilst I respect Dr. Qadri very much, and Imran Khan also, I'm not a member of their movement. But I have been involved with Pakistan and with Pakistanis for most of my life, since the 1970s, in fact, and I represent many people of Pakistani origin now in Parliament in Bradford West. And I have never been more concerned for the whole future, indeed existence, of Pakistan than I am this very day. And that's before I saw your excellent presentation. The news this morning from Peshawar could scarcely be more grave, and it is the major news item throughout the entire world. More than 100 people have been slain. There are many people now being held hostage by the terrorists, and we must expect, in the way of these things, still more casualties. This is of a different order from anything that we have seen in Pakistan before. And it represents a grave challenge to the existence of the state. I was leafing through Dr. Qadri's document here, and I immediately found 2 points of agreement. The first is his observation, very poetically, lamentably put, that whilst in 1947 the Muslims in the subcontinent were a nation looking for a state, now Pakistan is a state looking for a nation. I can think of no more succinct way of putting the current existential crisis in Pakistan than that. And the second of his observations in this document, with which I concur and have always concurred, is that Pakistan is in need of revolutionary change. The status quo of Tweedledee and Tweedledum, exchanging seats, criminalizing the previous occupants, and so on, cannot persist. It cannot go on claiming to govern. Andrew said correctly, there's a need to tell the Pakistani government when they're wrong, but in fact, the writ of the government, in a normal sense, does not actually run in many parts of Pakistan. And the kind of horrific violence that you just showed us, which I hadn't seen before, Lord Nazir had been watching it, he says, every day, so it didn't come perhaps as the shock to him now that it does to me. But to see senior officers actually identifiable on the screen firing their guns through the window of Dr. Qadri's home, to see women slain in cold blood, is really very difficult to take. And as you said, sister, that was only one of the massacres. Who knows now what will occur in the wake of today's events. So Pakistan needs revolutionary change. One thing I'm sure of is that the current government of Pakistan is no longer in control of events, and it should step down. It should step down, and new elections should be organized, supervised or monitored, if that's easier to take in terms of sovereignty issues, at least by the OIC, at least by credible observers. Because of one thing I'm sure, Nawaz Sharif is only the Prime Minister because of a rigged election. Moreover, every election in Pakistan has been rigged, and no one has any faith or confidence in the state in organizing free and fair elections. The temptation will be, in the wake of today, for the military to intervene and take power. Indeed, that question has been raised over the summer many times in regard to the sit-ins and the huge manifestations of millions of people. I oppose that. I have lived through, as you have, military government in Pakistan. And military government is no better than the government of the political parties. In some respects, it has been worse. So we have to say, go Nawaz, go. It's time for Nawaz Sharif to step down. He's no longer in meaningful control of events, and insofar as he is, that's the result that we just watched there. But it will not be enough just to exchange Tweedledee with Tweedledum. So the 10-point revolution, which I'll study, may very well be, I might have more points. In fact, I can see immediately that I do have more points, but however many points there are, revolutionary change in Pakistan is vital. I hope you'll forgive me, my Lord, as someone who I've travelled with and worked with for many years over these issues, if I add one point, which I think cannot be separated from today's events, and I apologise in advance to Andrew if it means that we part company. I believe that what happened today, and indeed the crisis throughout the Muslim world that was adumbrated by Sharif Hussain, is intimately connected with a flawed Western policy towards the Muslim world for many, many decades. And it may be that I'm alone in this point. The Frankenstein monster, which was created in the 1980s vis-à-vis Afghanistan by America, the United States, Saudi Arabia, and Sadat at the time in Egypt. This monster is now completely out of control throughout the entire Muslim world. The principle, if it can be called that my enemy's enemy is my friend, is not just an entirely immoral principle. It is utterly flawed and brings about the absolute opposite of the effect that you claim in the beginning that it will. Sometimes your enemy's enemy is worse than your enemy. And the billions of dollars and the tons, hundreds, thousands of tons of weapons that were flooded into Afghanistan through Pakistan in the 1980s, the deliberate fostering of this takfiri ideology that you can, in the name of religion, cut any throat, eat any heart, murder any school child, in the name of your particular narrow interpretation of your religion, and the encouragement of that takfiri ideology is indeed, as Sharif said, now shedding blood in rivers, oceans, everywhere, from Syria to Sindh, and now to NWFP. And we simply can't view these events as the news people do, certainly the British news people and Western news people do, in a prism of hours, days, months. This is a problem that for many decades has been deepening. And Saudi Arabia is at the heart of it. This takfiri fanaticism is being funded by and ideologically buttressed by one of the unfreest, most wicked regimes on the earth, namely the royal dictatorship in Saudi Arabia. And as long as we maintain the closest possible relations with that regime, giving them weapons, training, selling them weapons, taking their petrodollars in as large a mountain as we can, as long as we keep treating with this regime, which is involved, has its roots and fingers in every one of these pies, then we will never solve this problem. My last point, my Lord, I agree with the point that was made that terrorism has to be confronted. Of course it does, but not only militarily, because it cannot be defeated only militarily. Indeed, if you only confront it militarily, all the evidence that we have over the last decades is that you will spread it and deepen it and make it a bigger and bigger problem. So we need to confront it militarily. That's inescapable, no doubt. But we also need to confront the collapse of the state, the collapse of the nation of Pakistan, and resolve that problem if we're going to dry up the swamp in which this extremism is breeding. I appreciate that there's not time to fully develop this argument, and I thank you for your forbearance in the minutes that you have given me. But I'm here not because I'm in this movement, I'm not, but because I'm gravely concerned, more than I have ever been, and I've been through some dark days with Pakistan, more than I have ever been, the very existence of the country that we love called Pakistan. Wassalamu alaikum.
Thank you.